piloted his F-117A Nighthawk into the heart of the storm. His mission, a high-stakes bombing run. The fate of Operation Allied Force hung in the balance. Zelko, a seasoned pilot, knew the risks. Serbia's air defenses were formidable, but he also knew his aircraft's capabilities. The F-117, a Nighthawk, was designed to be virtually invisible to radar. It was a ghost, slipping unseen through enemy airspace. As the storm intensified, Zelko's F-16 escort turned back. Their mission compromised by the conditions. Zelko pressed on, alone, deeper into enemy territory. The Nighthawk was a technological marvel. Tonight, Zelko was flying solo into a maelstrom. The target loomed closer on his radar, but in the chaos, a hidden threat emerged. A threat that would turn Zelko's mission into a fight for survival. The F-117, a Nighthawk, was more than just an aircraft, it was a legend. Shrouded in secrecy, it represented the cutting edge of military technology. Its angular design was about stealth. Engineered to deflect radar waves, it was practically invisible, designed to penetrate defended airspace and deliver payloads with precision. Until that stormy night in 1999, it had never failed. The storm, a fickle ally at best, now turned against Zelko with a vengeance. The rain came down in sheets, reducing visibility to almost zero. The wind buffeted the Nighthawk, threatening to rip it from the sky. Lightning flashed, illuminating the clouds with an eerie, otherworldly glow. Zelko fought to keep control. The Nighthawk, designed for stealth, was not built for agility. It was a lumbering giant in the grip of the storm. He wrestled the controls, his heart pounding in his chest. The storm was more than just bad weather, it was a formidable enemy conspiring to dash him against the Serbian mountains. He was alone now, cut off from his escort, surrounded by the fury of the storm. Below him, hidden in the darkness, lay a different kind of danger. Serbian ground forces armed and waiting, eager to bring down the invisible enemy that haunted their skies. The mission was in jeopardy. Turning back was now his only sensible option. But Zelko was a fighter pilot, trained to push the limits, to complete the mission no matter the odds. He would press on, into the teeth of the storm, unaware that he was flying into a trap. Lieutenant Colonel Zoltan Dani, commander of the Serbian 250th Air Defense Missile Brigade, was a man on a mission. He and his men had been waiting, patiently, for this moment. They knew the Americans were using stealth technology, these so-called invisible aircraft, to rule the night sky. Dani, a career military man, refused to believe in ghosts. He knew that even the most advanced technology had its weaknesses. He studied the patterns of the NATO airstrikes, looking for any clue, any sign, that would give away the Nighthawk's secrets. And then, the storm arrived. Dani saw an opportunity. The Americans, he believed, would become overconfident, believing that the storm would cloak their movements. He ordered his men to their battle stations. They would use the storm as cover, waiting for the moment to strike. Dani had a secret weapon of his own, a modified Soviet-era P-18 radar system. It was old, cumbersome, but Dani and his men had modified it, tweaked it, coaxed it back to life. And on this night it would prove its worth. Deep within the Serbian command center, a lone blip appeared on the radar screen. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there. The invisible had become visible. Dani held his breath. This was the moment he had been waiting for. He tracked the blip, his eyes glued to the screen. It was moving slowly, methodically, like a predator stalking its prey. Dani waited, his finger hovering over the launch button. He would not be fooled, he would wait for the perfect moment. Then as the blip crossed the threshold, Dani gave the order. Fire! The earth shook as two surface-to-air missiles roared into the night sky, their fiery tails blazing a trail through the storm clouds. Inside the Nighthawk's cockpit, alarms blared. Zelko, caught completely off guard, reacted instantly. But it was too late. The first missile detonation ripped through the night, sending shrapnel tearing through the Nighthawk's left wing. The impact threw the aircraft into a violent spin. Fire erupted, licking at the edges of the cockpit canopy. The Nighthawk, once a symbol of American military might, was now a falling star, its invisibility shattered, its mission impossible. The cockpit was a maelstrom of flashing lights, blaring alarms, and the acrid smell of smoke. The Nighthawk, mortally wounded, spiraled towards the ground. Zelko, his body slammed against his restraints, fought to maintain control. He knew the situation was hopeless. The Nighthawk was beyond saving. His only chance of survival was to eject, but ejecting over enemy territory in the middle of a raging storm was a gamble with death. With the ground rushing up to meet him, Željko slammed his hand down on the ejection handle. The force of the ejection ripped him from the cockpit, the roar of the wind drowning out all other sounds. He was a human projectile, hurtling through the storm. As his parachute deployed, jerking him upright, Željko caught a glimpse of the Nighthawk, a burning pyre plummeting to earth. It was a vision that would be seared into his memory forever. He was alone, injured, and hunted. The real battle for survival was about to begin. The storm, as if exhausted by its own fury, began to subside. The rain eased to a drizzle. The wind whispered through the trees. Željko landed hard, his body slamming into the wet earth. He was bruised, battered, but alive. He unbuckled himself from the parachute harness and stumbled to his feet. He was surrounded by darkness, the unfamiliar landscape lit only by the occasional flash of lightning. He had no idea where he was, how badly injured he was, or how he would get out alive. But one thing was clear: he couldn't stay where he was. He gathered what little gear he had managed to salvage from the wreckage of his parachute and set off into the darkness. He moved cautiously, his senses on high alert, listening for any sound that might betray the presence of the enemy. Every shadow seemed to hold a threat. Every rustle of leaves sent a jolt of adrenaline through his system. He was a ghost, now in the truest sense of the word, haunting a landscape that offered him no comfort, no shelter. Days turned into nights. Željko moved only under the cover of darkness, his body aching, his mind weary. He scavenged for food and water, his survival instincts kicking in. He knew that time was running out. He had to find a way to signal for help. One day, he stumbled upon a sight that filled him with a glimmer of hope: the wreckage of a downed Serbian MiG-21 fighter jet. It was a long shot, a desperate gamble, but it was all he had. He approached the wreckage cautiously, his heart pounding in his chest. If the MiG's emergency beacon was still intact, it might be his only chance of contacting American forces. He found the beacon, its metal casing battered but surprisingly intact. His fingers fumbled with the controls, his hands shaking with exhaustion and hope. He activated the beacon, sending a desperate plea for help into the ether. Now all he could do was wait. Wait and hope that his message would be heard above the static, above the chaos of war, above the silence of his isolation. Back at the American airbase, the mood was grim. The downing of Željko's Nighthawk had sent shockwaves through the ranks. It was a stark reminder that even the most advanced technology was not invincible. Search and rescue missions had been launched, but hope was dwindling with each passing hour. Then, a faint signal was picked up by a listening post. It was the emergency beacon from a downed MiG-21. But why would a Serbian fighter jet be broadcasting an emergency signal? Could it be? A rescue helicopter was immediately scrambled, racing against time and the faint hope that Željko reminder that victory in war is never assured, and that even the most sophisticated technology cannot replace the courage and resourcefulness of the human spirit. Lieutenant Colonel Daryl Željko returned home a hero, his story a testament to the courage, resilience, and ingenuity of those who serve in the face of danger. He had stared death in the face and emerged victorious, his spirit unbroken. Željko's experience served as an inspiration to his fellow pilots and to a nation grappling with the complexities of modern warfare. He embodied the ideals of duty, honor, and unwavering resolve. His story became a tale whispered in hushed tones in ready rooms and flight simulators, a reminder that even in the darkest of nights, hope, courage, and a bit of luck can make all the difference. Lieutenant Colonel Željko's legacy is not just about the night the Nighthawk fell, but about the indomitable spirit that refused to be grounded.